Okay guys, so what makes a unit a mountain unit? It's not wearing overwhite bottoms, it's not growing beards, it's not carrying an ice axe strapped to your pack, although those are good starts. A mountain unit is one that doesn't just survive in the mountains, but actually knows how to fight in that terrain.
Lift fire! Lift fire! Lift fire! Give me another smoke.
Well, what makes a unit mountain? Let's look at an example mission. Let's say we want to do a basic infantry task like an ambush on a road, but that road is actually a pass that goes through mountainous terrain. Let's say we get driven to a vehicle drop-off point a couple miles away where we have to get out of the trucks and start to move towards the objective. We immediately need to start evaluating the route, find a realistic way for a platoon of 40 soldiers to move through. As we're moving, we also need to be communicating both internally and with the headquarters somewhere else, so that way they know where we are, what we're doing, if and when we need support. We're going to stop moving and begin to prepare for the ambush. We'll send a handful of people that are comfortable scrambling on vertical terrain to get their eyes up on the road and pinpoint a good ambush site. An ideal place to put the support by fire element for people that are going to initiate the ambush with machine gun fire is a place where the enemy would have a hard time to either shoot back at or charge into. In this case, we have an elevated spot overlooking the road. However, it's hard to get there even for us. So we'll send 3 advanced mountaineers to go set up what we'll call a fixed line, basically a rope that people can use as a hand line to climb steep slopes. Remember, you have people with 30-pound machine guns that need to move up to the point, plus their ammunition. When our target drives down the road, we'll initiate the ambush, and we'll have to shoot downhill in rocky terrain, which can be awkward because that's not always something that we practice.
Lift fire! Lift fire! Lift fire! Give me another smoke.
After the ambush, we'll need to consolidate any casualties, which may mean moving them down rocky terrain onto the road, and then moving them along that road back to the original vehicle drop-off point, where we'll get picked up and returned to base. So you can see, using a rope system is such a small part of our movement. In fact, it could be argued that we didn't even need that rope. But what did having that rope and the skills to use it give us? It provided us a little bit more safety, moving in a position of an advantage, and it was quicker and easier to evacuate casualties through rough terrain. Not everyone in the platoon needed to know how to tie a bowline, but they did know how to move on that fixed rope. The flip side of that is that advanced mountaineers needs to be confident in their skills. They need to be skilled and confident enough in rock climbing and rope systems to where they can do it under nods at night when the pressure's on. When creating a mountain training program, we have to acknowledge that it's not one size fits all like knot tying. So ultimately, what skills we do need to know are just the basics of maneuver warfare. That is, shoot, move, communicate, and medicate. So this is one of the few jobs where we need to do all those skills, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are the best of those skills in the military individually. We just have to put them all together. So who are the experts in these individual skills? Well, I think the best shooters are competition shooters and backcountry hunters. People that are the best at moving in the mountains are usually civilian mountaineers, backcountry skiers, climbers, and even snowmobilers and ATV riders when we talk to motorized movement. Experts in communication are often amateur radio operators and groups that are starting to use ATAC. And finally, medicate. Those are people that treat and transport patients every day, such as EMTs and paramedics, but could also mean civilian rope rescue teams who are always on call. So I'm creating this series in hopes to create a community of military mountaineers. I like to share ideas about what worked and what hasn't worked, because if you look at all the communities, such as the airborne community, they have standards. Jump out of a plane once a quarter and everything that entails. I think mountaineering at times can be more dangerous than jumping out of a plane, yet our training seems to be used to vary from unit to unit. Some units do a really good job at training themselves. Some units seem to barely train at all and are only mountain in name. I think a lot of times people go to the Army basic course, and then when they get back to their unit, they're the only person in their unit that knows anything about mountaineering. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a website. That website's going to have different training ideas. We might have things that worked, some things that didn't work, AARs, risk assessments. Basically good starting off points for formal or informal training. If you're not in the military, these documents aren't really going to mean that much to you. However, if you can understand the documents as far as how to mitigate risk and how to train safer, it might be interesting for you to see. Now remember, everything that we're going to talk about at this stage is personal opinion and doesn't replace professional training. So some of these things I feel comfortable enough talking about with my 10 plus years of mountaineering experience, but others I don't, so I plan on bringing some people who I think are. If that interests you, keep following this page and also look back at some of the previous work that I've put out. Also, I want to hear where you guys are from and what type of training you guys have done. Thanks for watching.
Live fire!